Hello and welcome to our Christmas special of the Greater Meaning podcast. This is your host, Andrew, alongside with your two co-hosts, Nathan, who's paying attention.
Hi, I'm Nathan, and we are streaming live on YouTube for the first time.
And Josh, all the way from Indiana.
Ho, 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 ho. Hello, everybody.
And today we're taking a slight detour from our usual progression through the stories of the Bible from beginning to end in chronological order to give you our first ever Greater Meaning podcast Christmas special, where we're going to cover themes such as origins of Santa, because, you know, that has something to do with the Bible.
All right, now I got to look up because I can see
origin
myself.
of Christmas trees.
The thing is, we wanted to do this last year. And
oh, gosh.
It was such a heated debate between the three of us that it ended up, not happening at all. But we've been preparing for over a year and a half, I would say. Not over a year and a half. But
Please don't put that bar that high. We haven't been preparing that long.
Let's just say we thought about doing it, shelved it for a year and a half.
If this sucks, please don't put it. We've been preparing for this is a year and a half of our work.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
No, this is definitely not. This is not what that is. Please don't assume that's what this is.
I'm literally coming in. I don't even know what Christmas is, so I'm coming in here blind.
I'm sharing the link to the live now.
As a Christian, by the end of this episode, you're probably going to be. You'll come to a realization, most likely, that Christmas really isn't as I don't know how to say it, as important as you might think it is.
Wait, hold on. That's not what we're going to do with this episode.
Well, that's what I'm doing with this episode.
There are very many Christian Protestant myths, if you will, surrounding a lot of the celebrations of Christmas, such as Christmas trees, pagan origin, Santa. Should you decorate? Should you give gifts? Does that take away from the true meaning of Christmas, which is, of course, being that we're a Bible podcast, we're going to start the episode with establishing and iterating. It's not COCA-COLA who is sponsoring this episode.
But listen, Coca-Cola is probably one of the most important after Jesus. Coca-Cola is why we do things the way we do.
Coca-Cola had a tremendous influence and impact on the Christmas that we know here today. But before we get ahead of ourselves, of course, the story of Christmas is centered and based around the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
And before we start really diving deep into Jesus, I just want to say that Coca-Cola is the most delicious soda out there. And if you're ever thirsty, you need something nice and crisp. Nothing like a Coca-Cola.
Nothing like a Coca-Cola. I'm just curious, just from a live perspective, because this is our first time. Andrew, did you even put a title for this episode?
Am I supposed to?
I think. I don't know if what.
So we're not used
on YouTube. What everybody is clicking on, because I think it's just called Nathan and Andrew at the moment.
No, it's Greater Meaning Podcast live show, and I could go on there right now and not change anything. It is set to the way it's set.
That would be great.
We are in this. And our
it's a bit sweet.
Lack of it's a sugar free. That aspartame.
Actually,
we got the sugar free on top of the regular just because
you guys need the sugar free ones.
You were very much so too. But before we get started in the episode, there's a bug flying in our room in the middle of December, which is always fun. Our fits for today are ugly sweater that I made for a Christmas party last year.
I think I like my sweater. It has a little corgi.
And Josh has a Christmas hat.
I had a whole Santa suit that I was going to put on, and it got really warm, so I took it off. And Christmas hat with gold chain. That's what I'm doing today.
Beautiful.
Okay. So let's start.
Let's get into it. Without further ado, now that we're finally starting, it doesn't really show us the counter of how many people are watching on our end, unless it does. And I
see how many people are following.
That's awesome.
There's
all right.
2.
So before we get into, I see 5. So
Yeah, 5. I'm sorry.
gosh, we are a very popular podcast.
This is so fun. This is insane. 5 whole
Well,
people.
considering we just sent it to our family, and that's about it, and our family is consistent of like 85 people.
Love you, Coach Andrew. Who calls you Coach Andrew?
Coach Drew.
Who is that?
A lot of the youth of our church, whenever, I help lead or, I help out the church, I've adopted the nickname Coach Drew, which I didn't anticipate explaining here tonight before the Christmas.
All right,
episode.
Coach.
All right.
Hey, Coach, put me
you
in,
hate
Coach. Come
football,
on.
though.
I don't hate football.
You don't even know if you like sports, but yeah.
I did
Coach
play
Drew.
sports, but it's fine. So to start off our Christmas
Life
episode,
coach.
we wanted to get into the Christmas spirit with a couple Christmas fun facts. And I decided kind of on the fly to maybe just do like them interspersed throughout the episode. So it's not just a bunch of facts and then a bunch of the origin stories. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the first one. Now, I haven't really fact checked a lot of these, so I don't know I just found a bunch of fun Christmas facts on the internet.
We don't do fact checks here.
No. So the first Christmas fact or fun fact that we have to share is around the year 200 AD, a Christian historian named Julius Africanus asked Jesus's living relatives why the genealogies of Jesus Christ in Matthew and Luke are slightly different. According to the historian Eusebius, the relative explained that Joseph's line included the Levite marriage line. In the Old Testament, practice by which the brother of a man who died childless would marry the widow and the father of a child that legally considered the descendant of the deceased man. And then one of the Gospels apparently follows the biological line as opposed to that. This is a horrible first fun fact.
Bro,
This is not
first
fun.
off,
Very,
what
very
does
fun.
What does this have to do with Christmas?
Wow. So fun.
The genealogies listed are slightly different because one of them goes off of the Levitical line that it states that when you die, if you have no kids, your brother marries and gives you. Remember the whole story with
but
the sons of Reuben, not Reuben. Reuben, and how his son died and then spilt his seed onto the floor, and then God struck
Judah
him dead
and
because
Tamar. Judah,
not
Judah's.
Reuben. Sorry, Judah and Tamar. Yes, Judah and
Yes.
Tamar in Genesis.
Fun fact for anybody who doesn't know that story: Judah and Tamar.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Judah has a couple sons. Tamar is one of the wives of one of the sons, and God kills her husband because he's so wicked. And then the second son is supposed to pass on the bloodline. So he's supposed to have a baby with and
take care
Tamar.
of this person.
Yeah, with the sister-in-law. He's supposed to have a child with her, and out of spite, because he must really have not liked his older brother, he spills his seed right on the ground. Andrew, you keep looking at that
read
bug.
one of those.
Nathan,
he keeps spilling his seed on the
My name is
ground.
Nathan, yeah.
Don't read
So
the second
Tamar
one. It sounds like it's
decides-
starting with genealogies again.
Tamar decides
Josh.
to.
Oh no, you can read the second.
No, you're fine.
Sorry.
Tamar decides to trick her father
Turn him
in-law
off. I can barely hear him.
to give her a child, and that's what happens. That's like the summarized version.
Anyway, yeah. So the two genealogies
bunch of weird-
listed for Jesus Christ in the books of Matthew and Luke are slightly different, and there's a reason. Either way, the line follows down to Jesus, which is interesting. So, Nathan, if you want to read the second fun fact.
I'm going to read another fun
No.
fact.
Just read the second one or the third one. You don't have to. You don't know how the pages work.
Oh, sorry. All right, guys. Mary and Joseph traveled to Bethlehem to participate in the census ordered by the Roman Emperor Caesar Augustus. The King James Version's explanation that they traveled to Bethlehem to be taxed might lead to confusion among some modern readers, though the census was for tax purposes.
Let me read over these facts before we continue, because this is.
Your fun facts have nothing to do with Christmas.
That was so fun.
I think your fun facts are literally just about the genealogy.
Let me give you guys
leading up
an
to
actual. Let me
Jesus.
give you something that's kind of fun. I'll give you guys a fun fact. Fun fact, right? A lot of Christmas that we view today and like the Santa is inspired by Catholicism.
That's not necessarily true.
See, there you go.
It's not out of fun fact. It's not a fact, but it's fun. And I
It's
like it.
actually completely Protestant, and a lot of it from the Protestant Reformation.
There you go. You see,
It's actually
fun fact.
completely
To get away
it's actually
from
completely-
the
I
saints.
said this before, and you're like, yeah.
No, I wasn't listening to you.
You're just trying to like set me up for
No, I promise, I'm not.
a lot of the Christmas stuff is not the what's the Solaris or whatever you're trying to say. It's all the paganism.
No. The Catholics, the Catholics. There's a lot of venerations of the saints, and what Protestants do, and they tried to get away from venerations of saints, and like Saint Nicholas or Santa Claus.
Saint Nicholas. Actually, I know one about Saint Nicholas. Can I say mine about Saint Nicholas?
Give us a fun fact.
This is not verified by the Catholic Church, but there is like a mythology around Saint Nick. And they say as a baby, he didn't take milk on Wednesdays and Fridays because those were the days of fasting in the Catholic Church in that time. I don't know that. I don't think that's true.
That sounds so unverifiable.
Well, but it really is a story they say. I know this because I heard it like 8 times.
We're going to talk in an extent about Saint Nicholas and Santa Claus and their influences on what we know of as a modern day.
The thing of that one. They say he was even at that thing where they picked out.
Are we going to talk
It's
about
the first council of Nicaea? Yeah,
Yeah.
he was actually present there because he was the bishop of that place.
There
Anyway.
you go.
Santa
Josh,
Claus
your
is
turn.
Nimrod? Are we going to be talking
Josh,
about that? That fun fact, my fun conspiracy fact.
Let's just dive deep in it.
Of Nimrod. No.
No.
I
Yes.
just wanted to
Last one. Just give me one more.
Okay.
If you don't have a fun fact, before
You're
we
gonna
go
talk
into
about something weird.
No, more
We're gonna talk about
genealogies.
he really wants to read a lot of genealogy.
No, there's actually a couple of good ones in here, but what the one I wanted to mention is that the book of Luke often describes the scene where the angels appear to the shepherds and whatnot, but the Bible itself never actually records that the angels heralded Jesus's birth by singing. Rather, it says that they were praising God or declaring glory to God in the highest. For that matter, we don't know that Mary sang her famous song either whenever she, received the news that she'd be giving birth to the baby Jesus. It never specified, like Mary's song, it's a very famous passage in Luke, never specifies that they sang, which a lot of people depict the angels singing and glorifying God, but really they appeared and they declared the good news. And it was like a large heavenly host. And I remember there was a pastor who preached that in our church one time, and everybody was just kind of like, I mean, it might be true, but it was kind of like a really
Maybe a heart
So
the
then-
angels singing. Like what? That's a lie.
that's a lie. The angels
Was that the only
did
place
sing.
in the Bible where it mentions the angels when
No,
they came?
it does mention angels singing. I believe there's a couple passages that mention angels singing, but that story of Jesus's birth when the angels declared, it doesn't say that they sung.
Yeah, but
and you could
isn't Luke also the one that said like, "I ran faster than Peter" or something like
no,
that?
that was John.
Oh, that was John. Yeah, John.
Look
was
at that.
guy.
He's gonna drink a delicious Coca-Cola.
Everybody, watch this. It's just
Oh, yeah, I can't wait until we talk about the Coca-Cola Santa Claus.
there's a
thing.
reason that it's here, and
We all are drinking Coca-Cola.
anyway. So that was a little bit not as fun as I thought.
Let's get into
No,
the
it's fun
actual nitty gritty with
And if I find
All
another
right.
good one, we'll jump in with one. But for now,
Saint Nick slapped the guy. I see that in the chat. Yeah, that is true.
So
He
our
did
main
slap a
focus,
person.
our main focus, at the
Supposedly.
moment, I would say, is about the origins of Christmas, and also we're going to be talking about the origins of the Christmas tree, where it came from, and we're going to be also talking about where we get the original Santa Claus and the Santa Claus that we have now that has been so pushed through commercial advertisement and all that. Obviously, we're all with Coca-Cola, so we know Coca-Cola is. I mean, right now,
we're just
if you go to the
desperately hoping
store-
that they come in and just sponsor us.
No, Coca-Cola. I mean, that financially that would be a great idea, but I'm scared of like the sign-on, the contract agreements on what they're asking for us to do. If they're asking for us to sacrifice something, and I'm not going to sacrifice anything for Coca-Cola.
No.
You know what? Absolutely not.
So yeah, like Josh said, we're gonna cover a few things in this because we have many Christmases in the future. So there's lots of stuff we'll cover. But what we mainly want to focus on today is where we get that we're going to start with the origins of what we know as Santa Claus. How did that come about? What does that have to do with Christianity? What does that have to do with Jesus's birth and celebrating that? And then the origin of the Christmas tree, which is very near and dear to my heart.
The thing is, Andrew, the Christmas tree origin has a lot of ties to do with the Christmas origin.
Exactly.
Like, Christmas as a holiday really wasn't celebrated. It wasn't celebrated like the birth of Jesus was a thing that I guess was it was exonerated. You know, it was something that was definitely huge, but it wasn't like a national holiday. It wasn't something that people would, you know.
Well, Easter was usually a bigger holiday, especially for the early church.
Because that was the main reason for why we have. I mean, Jesus died, he rose again, and now we're saved. Easter.
Well, did they celebrate birthdays in general back in the day? Is that like a modern thing?
No, I have no idea. I'm assuming.
Like, did the Jews did Peter's like, hey, it's my 25th birthday?
They did, but I know in Jewish custom, it wasn't really a thing that was celebrated. When you're celebrating the birth of a person, you're basically, it's almost like you're putting yourself, especially as a believer back then, you're putting the birth of you, and you're celebrating and almost worshiping you and yourself instead of God. You know what I mean?
Should we even celebrate birthdays?
Yes.
Listeners?
I think it is nice. But our birthday song, the birthday song definitely is a very sad song if you ever look into that.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Your name. Happy birthday to you. What's sad about that?
It's the way that it's sang. I mean, next time you have a birthday and everybody sings that song, it's such a mellow. Ever. Yeah, it's not a really happy
if you jingle. Sing it in a minor, maybe, but how it's supposed to be sung is. Anyway, let's get into the earliest origin or the earliest mentions of Santa.
I like that melody.
That we could find. Now, obviously, being a Bible study podcast or a Bible story podcast, if you go back to our Tower of Babel episode, have mentioned before how some people attribute the origins of what we know as Santa Claus today to date all the way back to Nimrod in the Bible. And there's a couple different reasons why he's associated with Christmas and associated even with the Christmas tree and the celebration of like gifts and gift giving. Nathan, I think Joshua, you were going to take over on this part and kind of explain.
Well, I'm not really taking over too much. It's going to tie into what we're later going to talk about with some of the practices that we have now, like one of them, caroling. But it's Nimrod and some of those, I mean, I guess we can call it some of those spirits that are behind Christmas. And we see it, I mean, one of them, you know, the spirit of Christmas, right? When you're looking at the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, you have the three spirits that visit him, right? But
past, present, future.
Yes, exactly. But they are spirits. Carol. But when we're talking about Nimrod, whatever. You get it. When we're talking about Nimrod, so the name Nimrod derives from the name Marad, which means rebellious. He rebelled, and it's believed that he was born on December 25th. Mm-hmm. Now nice. Well, if you ever look up the story of Nimrod, and you know the amount of just sick and corrupt things and immoral things that he does. He does things with his mother. I mean, and he famously, if for those that don't know, Nimrod is the character in the Bible in Genesis chapter 10 who builds the Tower of Babel, who founds the city of Babel, which would later be known as the city of Babylon, and is the prototype for a rebellious and wicked kingdom and king against the Lord. It said that he was a mighty hunter, which is another way that his name is reminded and remembered as the meaning. It said that he was a mighty hunter before, or if you actually read the regular or the actual translation, not before the Lord, but like against the Lord. So it was almost like he was in opposition, fighting against all that the Lord. He was
had.
A bounty hunter, looking and probably killing a bunch of angels.
Sure,
Maybe.
that wasn't in the Bible, but okay.
That's totally not there.
But
Well, if
the
God's
reason
calling him
he's
a mighty hunter,
associated, the
yeah.
reason he's associated with Christmas is because eventually, after his death, he marries his mother and has a mother bride named Semiramis. And what happens is after his death, which some people claim happened in a bunch of different ways. Like some people say that he might have died by being killed by Esau, from Jacob and Esau later, because he lives that long. Some people say that a mosquito flew up his brain and stung him, and God kind of playing this idea of, you think you're a mighty hunter, I can use the smallest of my creations to kill you.
The Ant-Man.
Essentially Ant-Man killing
Ant-Man,
him.
yeah.
But either way, when he would die, his mother wife would go to an evergreen tree, and she disappeared for a while, and she came back and worshipped and kind of venerated Nimrod, and actually caused a religion to form around the veneration of this character as a god. And what they would do to celebrate is they would find a fir tree or an evergreen tree, and they would lay down presents underneath it. Some say that she found one that was chopped down, laid down gifts before it, and the first time she came back the next morning, that there was a tree that grew overnight miraculously. And that's what she kind of stated. So,
but we see this as a reoccurring thing because it happens later with another story with Saint Boniface.
yeah. So that
know,
when we talk about the Christmas tree, we're going to bring that one back up.
Bonaventure.
but there is a spirit. I mean, when you're talking about like the spirit of Christmas, almost you could even say like the spirit of Nimrod, because there is a whole belief and a whole concept where Nimrod, like Christmas is another way that Nimrod, or a super evil person, Nimrod loved to be worshipped. He loved the spotlight. So
Yeah.
It's funny how them dictators love to be worshipped.
Real
isn't it?
quick, before we continue, Josh, I'm getting the sense that you're building this idea that Christmas isn't good, and I'm on the completely other opposite end of the spectrum.
Christmas is
You can't
at the
talk
moment.
about the spirit of Christmas.
This is the
and
way
we're
that I'm
talking
looking at
about-
it. Christmas is split at the moment in two different sects. You have the Christian, and then you have the completely pagan. And right now we have it. It is merged. Like, I mean, really it is. I mean, we have the idea.
I disagree.
Listen, we have no, because we have the idea of the spirit of Christmas, and then we have
you keep saying
Jesus
this word "spirit of Christmas" as if it means
because
something.
it
Hallmark
is
movie.
there is a spirit of Christmas, but then there
Okay.
is also the spirit of Jesus Christ, which is two different things. And we are celebrating Jesus Christ on Christmas, but at the same time, we are also celebrating Santa Claus and gifts. And the
When
tree.
you say
We're
the
doing-
spirit of Christmas, generally what most people believe is it's more of a spirit of like family, love, giving.
Generally,
tradition.
but
that is what you
it's
mean
all
when
a
people
twist of
refer to the
words.
spirit of Christmas. The origins of, and
Look
we
at
were
it
going
like-
to focus mainly on
okay.
Santa as opposed to Christmas.
Ratichur,
Wasn't necessarily
meat jelly, Romanians
an evil spirit or even pagan based. That was kind of like what we were going to build it off of. It's not something that's built in pagan tradition just because there was a few similarities or things that lined up in history. They didn't, like, even Saturnalius, or the celebration of the Roman celebration, where people sometimes say, oh, that was celebrated in December, and they just celebrate Christmas to get more people to celebrate Christmas on that date.
I see
It
where
was
you're going
usually actually celebrated in early August to September, and if it was any recorded instance of celebration in December, it was like December 9th or super early.
From a spiritual perspective, anything that can be worshipped, you are going to have spirits tied to it. Like, do you believe that Halloween has spirits tied to that holiday?
I believe that the celebration of dark entities is the celebration of spirits, but I don't believe that like there's
Okay,
the
so
same correlation
what
between
if Santa
Christmas
Claus? What if Santa Claus? The idea of that we have a Santa Claus now could be basically like an evil spirit.
Okay, so what does that mean?
What do you mean? What does that mean? What
What are you talking about? Like, okay, so,
I was literally
so
just talking
Christmas
about. I was just talking about Nimrod and
Yeah.
his love to be worshipped and adored, and his his own mom, which became his wife, basically to continue on his legacy, ends up continuing to worship him and gets everyone else to also worship him.
Yeah, but
after his death.
The point I was going to make
in
is
this
that
concept,
most people don't follow Nimrod as like the basis for Santa. It's actually what I was going to bring up is that's something we've mentioned before. Some people have loosely said because of those similarities, but really has nothing to do with
because the
Christmas.
one in charge with any, I guess, secret type of organization because realistically, the idea of Santa Claus and the elves and the North Pole is told, look at it from a child's point of view. We are told that it is a secret, right? That the whole operation of what Santa Claus does is secret. But yet it's magical and secret.
To the North Pole.
We all know about it, right? I mean, obviously through movies and everything, because we believe it's a fairy tale. But once you, from a Christian perspective, how I see it, once you put enough worship and enough energy and enough time into a certain thing that isn't real, but it can become real. You know what I mean? It can become real, and you're giving it life. You're not necessarily giving that one thing life, but you're allowing spirits to come in and give it life. So it's not like you're worshiping Santa Claus, but you're worshiping the spirits behind it that are now being lifted up because you're allowing it to be lifted up because you are putting your energy into it. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and agree with you on that because essentially what we find throughout history after that, I didn't want to associate
you to say that.
I didn't want to associate Nimrod as much. I just wanted to put that tie, since it's with the Bible a little bit, that he eventually was known and there's a lot of mythology behind him that were tied. But let's fast forward a little bit throughout history because where the idea of Santa originates from is during that celebration of Yule, during that celebration of that end of the year, that Christmas, if you will. There was a personification of Christmas that began to form called Father Christmas, or the Christmas man, essentially. And that spirit became manifest as a representation. And it goes as far back as the 15th century. You can find personifications of Christmas, whether in the form of songs or carols or celebrations or, plays. You can see that there was this man, this Yule man, quote unquote, that would like sneak through the town, and during these celebrations, these Yule celebrations, would throw nuts and meats and different cakes out into the crowds and pretty much be this like super jovial individual. Specifically in 1616, famous playwright Ben Jonson would incorporate Old Gregory Christmas, which I thought was funny, or Old Christmas as an actual person or character in his play. And then he came with his children, each personifying a different tradition or period, like misrule, carol, mince pie, mumming, wassail. It was very evident that as the years go by, as they go by, there was this person that was to represent the spirit, quote unquote, of Christmas and behind it, which is really, really interesting how through the years that identity developed. But what you see essentially is that there's a whole period in like the mid to late 1600s where Christmas itself is banned, both in the United States and in England, essentially because of the celebrations and the character of Santa, and the way they would celebrate was very quote unquote jovial, but it was very extremely what's the word for it? Very
it was bad.
What are you
just think of it like Bacchus, the god of wine, where they're just getting drunk, overexerting,
it was just bad
revelry,
overall.
And it was too much, essentially.
But it wasn't just like regular people banning it. It was Christians. It
was Puritans,
Christian nations,
Protestants. Yeah, exactly.
And it was very looked down upon. It was so bad that nowadays, like normally you would have off for Christmas, but back then factories would actually like especially in America. So if we're talking about in America, factories would set their hours earlier, and you would actually, if you celebrate Christmas and you don't go to work, you are actually fined by the government 5 shekels. I don't know how much that is now.
Let's go back to the shekels talk. We just talked about this in the last Joshua episode about Achan and how he stole shekels worth of silver. Let's dig it into it. Yeah, and even in Massachusetts in like 1640 or it was 1650, something around that time, they banned celebrate like the Puritans and the Quakers in that area. They banned Christmas all the way up until it was recognized nationally as a holiday in like 1870. So it was like one of those where like if you were a super strict Christian, you wouldn't celebrate because you believed everything was kind of like it was too much. But this idea of Santa developed very differently throughout different regions. Like you have the German regions, you had France, and the kind of the area in between.
The Italians had a witch that went down your chimney.
Yeah, there wasn't one singular identity of like a big red man in a fur coat or a red coat. There was one that was like
Krampus.
You had some people that believed that he was super tall and skinny. You had some people like wearing a bishop's hat. That takes after more of Saint Nicholas. You had some people believing that he was a short elf that was just running around getting drunk and, playing tricks and giving gifts and doing stuff like that. Back in a civil...
You think the elves that was back in the day?
What do you mean?
Like the elves were also a part of the Christmas thing back in the day with Santa and his elves?
Well, there is...
That's kind of where it comes from.
Because, I mean, the only reason I say this...
In Norway, they still believe in elves like that.
Yeah, they have that little tiny house or whatever in the mountainside.
Yeah. Like people people go and they build little houses.
Like say a prayer to it or whatever.
Yeah, and they'll make wishes to it.
Yeah. The only reason I say that because eventually, whenever Coca-Cola makes the Santa Claus we know today, they did do a trial run with a Sprite backed character that was green. That was like Santa's
Sprite.
Yeah, Sprite. That was like Santa's sidekick, and nobody liked it. Everybody hated it, and they discontinued it immediately.
Well, they made him the creepiest. That's kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but yeah, that's they made it like the creepiest drawing of like. So now that we have like the Santa, so
like a lovely old man. Now there's a disgusting looking Sprite guy.
Yeah, there was a Santa kind of that was drawn into like. That was more elf-like, that was drawn by a Civil War cartoonist called Thomas Nast, who actually drew it weekly in an article from like 30 years in 1862 onward. And then you have A Night Before Christmas. Everybody knows that very
all
famous.
Through the house. Nothing was stirring, not even a mouse.
Yes, that very famous poem. That was written as like a form of St. Nicholas by Clement Clark Moore and first published anonymously in the Troy Senate newspaper in December 23rd of 1823.
Another interesting thing about Night Before Christmas, last time anybody put 'twas.
It's the most, I don't know why we don't use that word more.
'Twas?
I feel like it would work today.
How was work today? 'Twas.
Good.
'Twas bad.
So he depicted this jolly figure with rosy cheeks and a red coat and clattering on top of the roof. This was before we had, but again, remember that every other region, if you go based off of the earliest idea that like Saint Nicholas was the inspiration for Santa, then you had more people describing a tall, skinny, bishop hat wearing figure who was very pious and very not as jovial, very serious. But Saint Nicholas was very famously born in Patria or modern day Turkey around 280 AD, and was a monk who traveled the countryside healing sick and kind of praying for people. And there's a famous story where there was a father who had 3 daughters who could not afford the dowry.
This is the most famous story.
And what essentially St. Nicholas did when he was in the area, because he was raised by his uncle, who was the bishop of that area, is that he would walk by and in order to not, he wanted to help, and comes from a lot of money, but he didn't want to embarrass the father of these daughters. And essentially, if they didn't have a dowry to pay for somebody to marry their daughter, then they would have to give them out into indentured servitude or slavery, or they would lose, and they would grow up unmarried, which is tragic. So there he is.
That's the guy.
That's the Saint Nick. Well, that's not really Saint. That's the one with the wreath on his head. There's one, if you look up, that has more of like a bishop. He looks like Catholic. It's kind of weird.
Now that's Nimrod.
Yeah, it's Nimrod. So Saint Nicholas, what he does to this father is that he sneaks by the house and he throws through the roof or through the chimney a bag of gold that could act as the dowry. And the people in the house, they think this is a prayer from heaven. And Saint Nicholas doesn't want anybody to know that he did this. So he sneaks away, and he does this both times for the other two daughters, eventually getting caught on the third time, so that they were kind of like thanking him, and he was kind of upset that he was caught. But this is the things that he would do. Like this idea of a man that brings down gifts from the chimney, that can be related to Saint Nicholas. His stories, and like Nathan mentioned earlier, he's so early on. He was even at the first council of Nicaea, and eventually was recognized as a saint figure and a pope. After the story, that I think there's a story also that he
slapped the guy.
Well, not to slap the guy, but that he found two guys that were dead in barrels, and that he prayed over them, and he came out, and they came back from the dead.
There's a lot of mythology around old Saint Nick.
And Santa Claus is also the continuation of that identity of Saint Nicholas. So when you think of Saint Nicholas, or this older Santa that is more based off of the religious figure, you'll hear the word Santa Claus.
Dude,
he was also the one that said the angels sang. I'm just playing.
No. From what I understand, the main reason they even chose the Saint Nick, to be honest, was more because he looked the part. Like he looked what they were he had the look of what they were kind of looking for, so that they can.
Who chose?
The Catholics.
Oh, I'm talking about Coca-Cola. Sorry.
That's not true. I'll go into why they picked who they picked. There's actually a very specific reason why they picked who they picked.
Yeah.
But before we go on, it's very important.
The fat guy that worked on the third floor.
Essentially. But before we go on, this is important for the establishment of the Christmas tree mythos, and the origin.
Christmas
but
tree.
One other origin for Santa is also found. Remember, we mentioned Yule and Yule time. But Odin in the Germanic peoples in the pagan times was considered a Santa-like origin figure. Yule was a celebration of the god Odin riding through the sky on a great hunt. Around, meant for a time of feasting, drinking. They would also celebrate this great oak tree that was supposed to symbolize Odin's power and Thor.
That's all Satan.
That is way back in the day.
That is like all the devil.
So there was a lot of sacrifice. There was a lot of
those are also demonic.
If I remember right,
pagan
it was
worship
with Thor and everything. There was like during that whole December month, there was Baldur. What was Thor's buddy's name? In the Avengers. He was also in the Avengers.
No idea.
Ballyho.
Oh, the guy with the big sword?
Yeah.
The Idris Elba played?
Idris Elba?
Yeah.
I just know him as Idris Elba. He's in Marvel.
Baldur. So Baldur died, and Thor basically was grieving for him. So December was the month where they would go to a tree. We're talking about like Celtics, people who
end of the year time. Yeah.
Yeah. And they would go and they would mourn and cry over Baldur. Yeah. And it was a time of weeping, but also like super evil things would always happen.
They would weep for Baldur.
But they would also have like, it wasn't really weeping.
Jesus.
They would just throw a huge party. Like it was just
Legend has it that Odin, like his two ravens, would sit at the edge of chimneys to listen to whether children were good or bad. And he rode an 8-legged horse called Sepnir, who would travel across the sky in a single bound. I thought people think that might have been the original place where they thought of reindeer.
Because of the 8-legged horse?
Because Odin would fly across the sky, and he would be known to ride his horse. Where Odin rode goats, so you actually have some Thor had his two super goats. He had his 2 super goats.
Yeah, they put it in that stupid third Thor movie. Those ghosts that keep yelling.
Yeah, it's
What
a
do you
thing.
mean? That of course they would put it in it. It's a movie about Thor.
Yeah, for Saint Nicholas, I did read back in my research here. There was 3 men that had been murdered and pickled in a barrel, like they were put in like chemicals, and then he resurrected them supposedly.
They smelled like
pickling.
pickle for the rest of their life.
They
they were
nice and pickled.
They were green.
They were the first pickle.
Oh,
Ricks.
so that's how we get elves, because they end up they're pickled.
No,
They're
the elves
pickled
aren't
zombies.
green. They just wear green.
the Keebler elves.
Do they wear green?
Yeah.
But that's also after the Coca-Cola.
Why do they make cookies? Anyway, sorry.
Santa
This Christmas,
forcing them?
this
They're in
Christmas,
slavery.
leave pickles out for Santa Claus. He won't eat
Saint
them.
Nicholas, the patron saint of watching over children, sailors, brewers, pawnbrokers, and students, because he would travel a lot back and forth. Fun fact.
Almost every saint really traveled back and forth. Like every saint. I mean, we're about to read
Saints
about another
were kind
saint
of
that
wealthy.
traveled.
They had the money to travel back and forth.
Yeah,
they
usually-
weren't starving to death.
Yeah,
like the
because
rest
they
of
were
humanity.
funded by the church. And
Yeah.
just like how a bunch
They
of
were well fed.
missionaries.
They're
There's a
like,
lot
did
of-
you pay your taxes, son? God bless ye.
God
God bless ye. You pay your tax? Oh, God bless ye.
See, that's the thing about Saint Nicholas, is that he was not like that. He was better than that.
Oh, he was like, where are the kids? Oh, God bless ye. Yeah, he was one of them kids.
That's how Turkish people sound.
Yeah, that's ye.
Okay.
They say ye
Okay, thank
instead of you.
So anyway, onward to the part that we've been building up to
Thy
for a long
and
time.
thouest.
The Santa that we know today is largely comprised of one of the greatest marketing campaigns that we've ever seen in history.
It is the greatest. Next to the diamond, I think the beers, making diamonds precious.
I'll be honest, yeah.
Those are that's pretty crazy. They literally brainwashed the whole world into saying diamonds are precious.
So
Hey,
Coca-Cola.
do me a favor about diamonds. Next, like, go to a jewelry store, or I mean, even online. Just go to try to buy a diamond. Almost every diamond now that you're gonna go buy is lab created diamonds that
Cubic zirconias.
look
Yes.
completely identical to a real diamond, because they are real diamonds.
They actually look better.
Yeah,
because
they do.
they cut them
and
to
they're bigger.
be more brilliant. They look better, but if the saying is, if a girl finds out it's that, then she don't want that diamond. She wants a blood diamond, but not a blood diamond.
She wants a blood diamond.
She
but
wants
not
a blood
real
diamond taken.
She doesn't want to know that it's a blood
She wants a
diamond.
free range diamond,
you
know,
go.
free range,
Cage-free.
cage free,
Pasture raised.
just found by misery, paid for in blood.
The misery makes it sparkle.
It's insane. And Coca-Cola was right there with them.
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola
Making it
fooled the
sparkle.
world.
Coca-Cola invented a drink
They even
that
made
was
polar bears
was
like
a-
innocent.
You're right. Coca-Cola originally made a drink that was supposed to be a health tonic to help, pick you up and make you feel better when you had headaches and certain things like that. Actually
'cause it had
incorporated
cocaine.
Cocaine in it.
cocaine or coca leaf extract, which is also cocaine, and was extremely addicting. Now, one day Coca-Cola
Why was it
looks-
addicting though? You think it's because of the cocaine that was inside of it?
Well, the problem is they removed the cocaine from it, put caffeine, and caffeine isn't as addictive.
But
so,
sugar is.
So they look at their end of year numbers and they realize something. They see that during the summer that their numbers are skyrocketing.
hot.
Everybody in the hot wants a nice cold Coke, right? But in the
Yeah.
winter, nobody's really going after. Their sales are dipping tremendously. So they're like, what can we do to help, bolster our numbers in the wintertime? What can we do to try to,
Put a
get the
big fat
get the
man
money, get them all the money all year
There
round?
was a guy, his marketing genius. I forgot his name.
So there was their idea was to commission a man to find a figure that would incorporate the spirit of Christmas. And not only was he so well known as an incorporation of the spirit of Christmas, but this jovial, happy fella should be having a nice cold Coke in his hand in the middle of a bunch of people celebrating and him drinking it, and it should be delicious. Now,
along with the whip. But also before we get to the Coca-Cola, they also
let me just say his name.
Oh, okay, say the guy.
His name was Hayden Sunbloom.
The only reason I want to say it, because what's that one organization with the red buckets and they dress as Santa
Red
Claus?
Cross?
Oh, the Salvation Army. This
The
was
Salvation
actually,
Army
Salvation
is also kind of a part of this time period.
So the Salvation is fascinating. The Salvation Army actually
Really?
did this beforehand and associated with St. Nicholas and his generosity to get donations for their organization, they would have already been jumping on this bandwagon. But again, at this point in the early 19th century, or the 20th century, there was not a single well-known picture of this Christmas father known as Santa Claus.
Old Saint Nick.
He was always different, super short and fat, tall and skinny, more serious, most jovial,
sometimes a witch,
sometimes straight up a witch, apparently.
Sometimes a demon, like
Krampus?
Crazy looking.
No,
like,
Krampus is different. Krampus would come before Santa or after Santa. I don't know, but he would beat your children.
Sometimes Odin.
Oh, yeah. He would go and beat your children with sacks. And
So
he was the guy that
saying-
he was the guy that gave you coal if you were bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and in Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, a lot of people consider that the second spirit of the spirit of Christmas present, the big, jovial, laughing, bearded man with the wreath on his head that was super happy at first, but then had the super creepy kids in his quote. That was also what they saw as Christmas today. That was Santa Claus. But we see Hayden Sundblom from 1931 to 1964 designed and established this idea or this picture of a red suit wearing,
red and white,
rosy cheeked,
happens to be the colors of Coke.
Just happens to be the right colors to see that this is now what we know as the only picture of Santa. Anytime you see this image, not just in America, but anywhere in the world, it's widely known as Santa. And this is modeled after his retired salesman buddy, Lou Prentice, who was just a big bearded man living upstairs that Sundblom saw. It was like, come on, man, let me just draw you. No one's even going to see this.
Lou Prentice is the greatest image. Like, think about it. What other iconic images can you think of that's like totally like it just dug into culture? Like, people think this stuff is like, oh, we've always believed Santa was a big fat red guy in a beard. And they really think that that's like ancient. Like, nah, dude, this is Coca-Cola.
Yeah, they no other marketing campaign can I say has redesigned the landscape of an entire holiday that is so nationally beloved and celebrated as Coca-Cola did with Santa Claus.
It's completely changed everything about, even as for Christians, now the number one Christian holiday in the world is Christmas. It's no longer Easter, where originally it used to be Easter. Easter was the big hitter.
They got whole movies about it. They have, toy sales. Think about how many industries this guy affects, because like all the toys that get sold.
Oh, not just toys, anything.
Like gifts
anything.
Today, like all products. It's like Christmas time is the biggest sale time of the year in America. Like, we all make the most money in December. Like, I mean, in terms of salesmen. It's nuts. And it's because of Coca-Cola. It's so crazy that it's all because
and it's so
of
funny.
drink.
You brought it up a little earlier, but this idea that it was so successful that like 10 years in, they're like, Santa needs a buddy. And the fact that they called him Sprite, because Sprite means like little spirit or a little elf or a little fairy. But a little green, Josh, can you pull up the picture
monster.
of Sprite? The campaign by Sundblom's.
All right, give me a second while you guys.
It is like, it was so hated. It was like the worst sequel of all time. Like what's a really famous movie that everybody loves that like the sequel came out that was just atrocious?
Well, I'll tell you what, Jingle All the Way. That's a classic Arnold.
That's one of my favorite Christmas movies.
There's a Jingle All the Way too. With none other than Larry the Cable Guy.
I've never even heard of this.
Yes, it's on my watch list. Very soon, I am going to be watching. Down? I don't think so. No.
I got some feedback that somebody couldn't comment, so I didn't know I was going to check.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah. If you open up the chat, you could see the chat.
Yeah, I see the chat.
Anyway.
I see the chat.
So, yeah, I mean, just absolutely. Now I'm thinking about the example used about Jingle All the Way.
What was the thing about
but I was looking for something more massive. A lot of people don't like Jingle All the Way.
What are you talking about? Jingle All the Way is amazing.
I'm sorry,
Andrew.
Josh.
What was the thing about Sundblom being inspired by the poem "'Twas the Night Before Christmas"?
'Twas.
Well, I mean, that was the closest, like before him, that was the closest description of the modern day Santa. Like it describes rosy
So
cheeks,
he modeled
belly.
who he was
That's
looking for
idea
after that. That's
was-
what I was talking about before.
So there was.
So that's how he was found, this Saint Nick character, because he wasn't originally, like, Saint Nick wasn't Santa Claus. They took Saint Nick, and there's a whole story about this guy. I mean, yeah, you already talked about him, but they took that guy and they used him.
They combined all the ideas.
stories,
He combined all the different versions into one so that it could be a cohesive, like one single character.
Let me tell you how it happened. He was like this with the table. He's like, all right, guys, give me all the best portions of Christmas, you know. We have a witch that comes up. No, not the witch. Let's do something else. And it's like the gift giving, the little kids, the cheer, whatever, blah, blah, blah. The Christian aspect with Jesus. No. We can't put Jesus on our Coca-Cola. Something else. And that's kind of how they did. Like, it's just like a round table guy spitballing ideas. They took the best ones and it hit.
Yeah. So it was a phenomenal job by Coca-Cola. And you cannot talk about Christmas and Santa without mentioning it nowadays. So I want to move on now, unless there's anything else you guys want to add, with one more Christmas fun fact before we move on to the Christmas tree.
The Coca-Cola thing is done.
Did you ever bring up the picture of Sprite?
Yo, I'm actually looking for it. It's actually not easy to find.
What do you mean? Sunbloom's Sprite from 40s or 50s.
Sprite.
Anyway, while you do that, let's do a couple fun facts. Did you know
Let me read.
that the Bible does not record a single word spoken by Joseph? Some have quipped that he is also always depicted sleeping when pictured in the Bible, since Matthew twice recorded an angel appearing before him in a dream. So when you see ancient pictures of Joseph, yeah, there it is right there. That's just zoom in on that face. Yeah, Joseph never was recorded saying a single word, but super influential guy. Look at that face, man. That's just not.
You know what it says?
Imagine being a kid.
Come in, thirst knows no season. Refreshment, real refreshment. Awake.
I guess they're trying to
5
make him look like a lemon.
Come in. Like, I don't want to.
Honestly, he looks like Jack Frost. Is this where they got Jack Frost? Wait, why does this say Coca-Cola? Does Coca-Cola own Sprite?
That's the
Yes,
thing.
they
Yeah,
do. They
do.
own Sprite.
So that's the combo they
So-
were trying to, like, you know.
Oh, so this is
7-Up is a product of Pepsi.
because that's why
Nobody
it took
likes
me so
7-Up.
long, because I was looking for Sprite, but it was a bunch of Coca-Cola stuff, like with green all over. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I'm going to read another fun fact that Andrew looked up for us.
Again, just pulled straight from the internet. I should have vetted him a little bit.
Stargazers or magicians are better descriptions of the Magi than wise men. Magi. Than wise men. The 3 wise men.
Mm-hmm.
And a star was not only the guide that they had in finding the baby Jesus. Matthew says the star guided them as far as Jerusalem, where they learned that scripture foretold the Jewish Messiah's birth in Bethlehem. Having received this guidance from God's word, the star again guided them until they reached the house in Bethlehem where Jesus and his family were lodging. Matthew 2, verse 11. The Magi did not visit Jesus at the manger, as is often depicted in nativity scenes.
So very important that when we get to that portion of the Bible in 2028, that the story, that any nativity scene that you find, I'm just kidding. I don't know, who knows? The story of the birth of Jesus in a manger is not the same timeline as the story of the 3 wise men appearing and coming into the city. And oh, that's crazy. Has this always happened with the comments popping up?
No, just one.
I just wanted
That's weird.
Thank you,
I
Sam.
like you guys. Thank you, Samuel.
I like you too.
The story
Thanks,
takes
Sam.
place a couple years later after the birth of Jesus, and you can see very clearly from the context when it says when they arrived at the house, not in the manger, they're already established. It says that, you know, Herod sent out the soldiers to kill everyone 2 and under because there had been some time, it's not immediate, since the baby's birth. So it's very important that when you walk by anyone's house or store and you see those little nativity scenes with like the
little infant baby,
yeah, and you see the three wise men, you knock those on the ground and you cry out blasphemy, heresy, and you just walk out and you spit on those and you proclaim the truth of the Bible to everybody around you.
When I was a little youngster, one prank I used to like to play on my neighbors was if they had anything on their lawn, it would go across the street on the other people's lawn at like 2 a.m.
Good job.
And I'd cause a war.
Oh man, the times before Ring camera.
Yeah.
Oh,
You can't do that stuff.
That's
today.
something kids today will never know. Any type of yard prank.
Yeah, that was the classic one.
And it happened often.
Work.
Oh yeah, ding dong ditching.
You knew you
What is
had
that?
friends if your house was
not
like
what we call
messed up by toilet paper or eggs.
Are you sure about that? That's how you
Or
knew you
not
had friends?
Maybe you didn't have friends. Maybe you had enemies.
Maybe
I had
Josh,
ops.
you
Hey, I had
maybe you didn't
ops.
have a lot
Hey,
of friends.
can we get into why are there lights on houses? Why do we light up the houses?
Well, that's kind of together with the Christmas trees.
Christmas tree. The
So
Christmas tree is like the biggest hitter because that's partially like comes into why Christmas partially.
this is
where
a
we have
super
it.
near and dear subject to my heart, and I have grown up with obviously a lot of Christians, my father included. At one point, when they hear and they learn that there might be some origin based in pagan worship and pagan ritual, as a Christian, if this is true, you shouldn't have representations or idols of those type of things in your home. But upon my research and really diving deep into the subject, I have found that the Christmas tree, as we know it today, celebrated on Christmas, has more of a history rooted in Christian tradition and worshiping of God
Lies!
than it does in any type of pagan practice, specifically the decorating and celebrating with a fir tree or an evergreen tree is not of pagan origin. And that is the official Greater Meaning podcast stance. Now, oftentimes Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 3 is used in this example, saying, for customs of the people are futile. For one cuts a tree from the forest and the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe, and they decorate it with silver and gold, and they fasten it with nails and hammers.
Hey, why are you reading it so fast, buddy?
So that it will not topple. They are upright like a palm tree, and they cannot speak. They must be carried, because they cannot go by themselves. Do not be afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, nor can they do any good. So this is kind
I
of
wish you would have read that next word, has so much.
in so much as there is none like you. Are you just like wanting me to trip up?
No. I love in so much.
In so much.
Just like twas. We don't use twas. We don't use in so much.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
So the customs of the people, a lot of people use this passage of the Bible as a reference to the idea that you should not decorate a tree, cut it down from the forest, bring it into your home. It was likened unto the pagan practices and worship of other gods to do such a thing. The problem with using that chapter and that verse is that you're taking it out of context and not understanding the full scope of what this is saying. For example, the fact that they are not only cutting down the tree, but sculpting it, working it more has akin to, like, think of an Asherah tree, or I like to think of it like a totem pole, right? Where you actually carve the face. They strip off all the branches. They're carving images and they're decorating, and then they're worshiping or using it in an idol-like sense.
They're putting like faces on it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Right?
and that is very different from what you find from a fir tree, and then the celebration of marking it with lights and then putting it in your home during the Christmas season. It is not related to that whatsoever. If you continue to read, this also says
what Nimrod's mom / wife did. She didn't carve it up.
/wife. That is more fir tree. That is super.
It was just a
ancient.
tree where gifts were put under it.
Yeah, that's where you get like the idea of gifts. But here's the thing. As far back as recorded history goes, where you can have verifiable evidence, some of the earliest known relations to a fir tree being a representation of a Christian symbol would be with, and this is a story that Joshua looked up too, that was one of my favorites, a story about a man named Saint Boniface. In 723
Wait,
AD.
his name was originally Winfred. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. I just always see
Like Winnie the Pooh.
Saint Boniface.
You imagine if they called him Winfred the Pooh.
Saint Winifred the Pooh.
Yeah, he was from Devonshire, England.
So he travels, and there's an area between very rich in fir trees that's right on the border between Germany's western border and France's eastern border. And he traveled up to this.
Before he got there, he had this infatuation with bringing the gospel to. Bringing the gospel to Germany and that region.
He was a missionary. That was where he felt
Pope
called.
Gregory, I don't know, the third, the fifth, whatever. He went to the Pope and he asked the Pope, like, this is where I want to go. And the Pope says, you know what? I have now put you in charge of that whole area. As in, like,
spearhead it.
Well, you got to remember. At those times, even the Romans, they had trouble dealing with those people just as a nation militarily.
The Germans,
they were, yes, or back then crazy. The Germanic tribes were the
Druids,
the Druids, but they were often like a huge nuisance. They were a huge nuisance to the Romans, but they were just scary people. They would color their face. They would, put mud on. They looked like demon possessed people to normal people.
They were also very into spirit worship, child sacrificing, and like just a lot of pagan rituals that were very demonic even for ancient antiquity. Like before it was like for people that weren't Christian, they were like, you guys are a little out there with the spirits and the worship.
They terrified everyone.
I wouldn't say uncivilized, but kinda, you know what I mean? Like even the Germanic peoples or the Norwegian people, like the Vikings, if you will, they weren't known for recording a lot of their history. A lot of what we even know of them is found from one single source called the Poetic Edda.
They're the European version at that time of, like, think of Native Americans now. They had the totem poles. They were very into the spirits and all that. But they were also not uncivilized. But if the settlers that were coming in and saw them, and they did see them, they looked at them as uncivilized. But they just lived in a whole
Western world. They were
to the Western world. They were exactly So it's uncivilized. So there you go.
So this is a very harrowing area. Very scary area, very like you're most likely to get straight up murdered for trying to go preach the gospel. So think about the type of person St. Boniface was. Very on fire, very like rough and tumble, ready to go. I don't care what. Goes into this area that's in modern day Germany. Yeah. And they're celebrating an annual event of worshiping and dedicating to what's known as the Thunder Oak Tree, which is supposed to be an embodiment or a representation of the power of Odin. And they would sacrifice this tree. They would offer gifts to the tree, sometimes even human sacrifices. And he goes up in the middle of everybody during their celebration of this tree with an axe and chops down this tree. And the reason he wasn't like grabbed by people and stopped is because everybody just assumed that in any moment that St. Boniface would be struck down by the lightning of Thor. Yeah. And when he wasn't, everyone was just so shocked they were afraid to touch him. So he takes the wood from this great oak and he builds a church with it in front of everybody, and famously would use a fir tree and said, I dedicate this, you guys worship this tree, I dedicate this to Christ, and used it in his evangelism to kind of show a representation of everlasting life. The fir tree wouldn't die during the winter, it would always be green, and he would relate that to how Christ is always alive, and you could also always be alive if you believe in him, you'll have eternal life. So that's where you have the St. Boniface and the Christmas tree. So the first this is 720 AD. This is super early on. This is a couple hundred years later. Next,
720 years later.
Next, the earliest known sighting or recorded issuing of a what we know as a decorated Christmas fir tree would be in 1419. There was a bakers guild, or a group of bakers that formed a guild in Freiburg, Germany, and it is reported to have displayed a paradise tree in the town center for everybody to enjoy and see.
What's funny is that it starts in it's in Germany, where the previous story was also in Germany.
So this is a big thing. A lot of people believe that this rooted from Saint Boniface, and that
Jesus was born in Germany. That's gotta be it.
Freeburg or Freebird?
Freeburg with a G.
Joking.
Because that would have been also the influence of the song Freebird.
But it didn't.
Yeah.
So they displayed it. That's one of the first. That's one of the first recorded. In, like, if you look at through historical annals, you can see history of a Christmas tree being used, and again, being used as a paradise tree. Now, paradise trees were used as far back as even the 12th century. Paradise trees were used in plays and celebrations at the end of the year in a lot of those areas of France and Germany, and eventually England, because think about how illiterate most of the population was. So they're not at home reading their Bibles and learning the stories of the Bible. So they would have these put on celebrations and plays depicting biblical stories and events like Adam and Eve. And they would have what's known as a paradise tree depicting the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And now you actually have records from national forests, like wardens of this time in Germany, where they had to start reducing and limiting the number of trees that public can go into the forest and chop down to put into their home, because there was such a mass of just deforestation happening in that area that they were like, okay, only one can be used, or only every family gets one tree, no longer than 7 or 8 feet. And this is something that has nothing to do with Christianity or has anything to do with, like, this is just like you looking through government documents that was from that time. So that gives us a good indicator that people around that time were also decorating their homes with these fir trees.
The paradise tree.
Paradise trees, decorating a tree to look like the tree of the garden of the knowledge of good and evil. And they would decorate it with like fruits and tinsel and string.
But you're not allowed to eat the apples because that's not what you do.
They were just supposed to be there.
I'll tell you what, I'm very happy that the palm tree wasn't ever chosen as the celebratory tree.
Why is that, Nathan?
Because that would be insane to put up in your house. A palm tree. Those are really tall.
People do have a small palm
tree on the very top. There's no other leaves. You can't hang anything on it.
Have you never seen like a small palm tree?
I don't see a lot of palm trees in Germany.
Have you not seen like a small palm tree in like a house? Like,
well, let me ask,
have you?
Is a palm tree
in Indiana? You have come across that? Like, what, dude?
No, we don't.
Have you ever seen a palm tree last through the winter in like a really cold area, not at a beach?
No.
Or well watered? Exactly. So that's the reason the fir tree is that it's still green and luscious and beautiful in the winter.
Luscious.
What about the trees of Mamre?
No. One of my favorite stories involving early Christmas trees.
By the way, YouTube Live people, every story is one of his favorite stories.
It really is. Well, before you tell your story, apparently there's this whole other story with...
I haven't told my story. I'm sorry.
There's this whole other story with Martin Luther.
Okay, that was my story.
Oh, that was
so you could tell it. I've already told the other ones. You could tell this one.
All right, I'll tell this story. So Martin Luther, he's
famous
going on a walk.
Protestant Reformationist.
Very
he
famous.
Wasn't a king.
So
99 Thesis.
Martin Luther decides. I mean, one night, he's walking through the woods and he's having this intense, back and forth, prayer with God, and he's thinking this whole time, like he's thinking on the birth of Christ, and I guess maybe he had questions or whatever, but he's just pondering on the thought of the birth of Christ, and as he's walking through the woods, he's admiring the trees and he's looking at all the trees and how beautiful the work of God is. And through the trees, he's able to see the stars through the trees. And he's so is a beguiled a good word. He's so
Why would you go
beguiled.
back?
You're so beguiled. Yeah, that's not a good word, but we'll use it.
He's so beguiled by this, and
He beguile.
that he gets one of the trees, cuts it
I
down.
mean, yeah,
he
it's a
brings
perfect
it
word to
home.
use.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry.
That he brings it home, and he puts little candles on it to light it up, and to make it so basically he wanted to take the forest home and
To make
put
it look like the stars in the sky.
Exactly, make it look like the stars in the sky are shining through it, which really is a candles on a terrible idea. Don't do it.
But you're right. Yeah, overwhelmed with love for God and His creation,
But
he brought it home.
That's a story. I mean, the thing is, a lot of people that like Martin Luther scholars, the people who look into
You
him,
mean the actual theologians, these religious study majors? Yeah.
yeah, they all of them agree that this never happened. I don't know where the story came from.
What are you talking about?
Because it's a ridiculous story.
It's not. It's actually. I
all-
looked up.
They all just say that
sources
it's just,
say that
it's just
did
a
happen.
legend.
It is a legend, but it's like it's a good one. Come on. It gives credence to my Christmas tree, man. Christmas trees are Christian, and that story happened.
That's where you. I
According
knew
to
that that's
our
where you were trying to get it from. You were trying to say that the Christmas trees were Christian because of that.
Because of Martin
you
Luther.
could have said
Not
it
just that,
because
but because
of the
from the
paradise
very
trees.
beginning, the paradise. It's a combination of Saint Boniface's use of the fir tree to represent Christ's everlasting life, the fact that paradise trees were used for hundreds of years in that area to represent the storytelling of the Bible, and then how Martin Luther used it because its immense beauty,
By the way-
reflecting the lights, represented the love of God and the creation of nature.
And
I hate
that
how you
versus
sped through Saint Boniface's story so much. There was so much nitty and gritty things in that story about even like that tree. Did you know, like, basically once he did chop that tree down, the people there were so scared that they were going to send someone to Valhalla to intercede on their part so that they're not killed for that situation. So what they did, the town, they brought a little boy, and his name was Little Asulf. They brought a little boy, and they put him, they were literally about to sacrifice him, and they took Thor's hammer that they were about to kill him with, and they were basically, imagine, they had it up in the air, and they were about to bash this kid's head. They were about to kill him. And as the hammer was coming down,
I didn't
Saint-
read this at all.
what? No,
Keep
you
going.
didn't.
No, this is
as it
crazy.
was coming down.
Yeah, as the hammer's coming down, Saint Boniface, or as you might say, Winifred. I like to call him Winifred. Winifred stops it, and he says, "Why? Don't kill this kid. Don't kill this kid. This is the night that Jesus Christ was born, and Jesus Christ is better than Baldur the Beautiful." And they're so oh my goodness, like, what's going on?
They
Blah,
were in
blah.
awe and reverence of this crazy man.
He stopped the hammer mid-swing, the big
Yeah.
Thor hammer, which
Yeah.
is what?
With his hand. That's why he's a saint. Miracles,
and
man.
then basically then we have the
I'm just
young
asking.
That wasn't bad.
the fir tree, and Saint Boniface is basically saying, like, this fir tree it's a sign that it's endless life, for its leaves are always green. And then even after that, it says that little Asulf is sitting on his mother's lap, and he tells his mom, "Mother, listen now, for I hear those angels singing again behind the tree."
They didn't sing.
But the Bible doesn't
But
say
but
that
here,
they sung.
Yo, here's the funny thing is, some say that it was probably just Saint Boniface's companions singing, but in the woods, all glory be to God on high, and like basically what everything that is like saying in what's it called, in Luke, what you read before, like they were saying that, but his companions were probably saying in while they were in the woods, but the little kid thought that it was angels singing.
Probably.
but he got it mixed up. But it could have been angels.
We got a question from the chat.
So can any of us do a backflip?
The answer is absolutely not.
No, we can't do a backflip.
I think I can.
I did a front flip once and landed on my butt and like my feet, and it kind of fell down. That's the closest I ever got.
I can do a backflip. I'll probably die.
That means why would you die?
I mean, I jump off a building and just do backflips going the way down.
That's the only way to do a backflip.
I mean, why not into like a pool or like a
yeah.
Why we gotta go straight to that? That's awful.
So, okay, you guys had those three things of
Egyptians-
trees.
The
Versus, because I want to hear the ultimate showdown between Josh saying trees are evil,
Not yet.
and you saying trees are good.
So the spread of the practice of lighting and decorating Christmas trees happened very much through Dutch immigrants into America,
always the
and
Dutch.
mainly through Queen Charlotte, after she in 1790, when she married King George III, she brought the tradition over to England. She was born in Germany, and bringing that tradition of the paradise tree and the fir tree decoration that spread like wildfire through a lot of the nobility and the upper class, and they all carried that tradition into Christmas into the 18th century or into 1800s. 1900s came over to America, and that's where you have the origin of the Christmas tree. It is very much so rooted.
Yeah, I mean, that was when Christmas as a holiday was starting to become somewhat popular.
I feel like it was
In 1790?
in the 1800s.
In the 1800s, because you got to remember, before that, like the 1700s, 1600s, Christmas was a thing that was kind of banned. Like it was always
popular in Germany and like France and that area. And then places like England and North America, then
not amongst the Christians. It was more. It was more amongst like the people, but with the Christians, it wasn't really it wasn't, dude. It was a thing. So
Martin
here's
Luther
some examples.
wanted to get away from using a lot of like iconography and veneration of the saints, because that was a very Catholic thing and it was kind of idolizing. He was like, who's a better gift giver than baby Jesus? We shouldn't look at like Santa Claus or Saint Nicholas or something like that. So there was a lot of that where they kind of super purified it, but they were always celebrating some form of the end of the year Christmas.
Here's a couple of things on why Christmas was so hated. I know we talked a little bit about it before, but there was three things that really were big factors.
One of them to the time period in the 1600s, where there
1600s, but also 1700s.
Yeah,
in 1700s, Henry Bourne of Newcastle basically wrote about Christmas, and it was a time where people who were normally good people, sober people, would get drunk. And I know we've mentioned this before, but at that point in time, Christmas was a holiday that was celebrated for 40 days. Like, it wasn't a one-day thing. It was celebrated for 40 days. And during those 40 days, there would be multiple things that would be happening. You would be having a thing called mumming. And mumming is basically where it's a chain, like you go and you become someone else. So you would switch roles with someone else. Basically, guys would dress up as girls, girls would dress up as guys, and then they would go from house to house, doing merry things. And during these merry things,
like what, Josh?
Well, no, this
Sound
is
like
not
there are
that
people
thing.
watching.
But there are, like, they did. He spoke on this. Basically, Henry Barnes spoke on how bad it is, that it probably started out as a fun thing, but ended up because you have a bunch of people dressed up as someone else in disguises, going from house to house to, it was supposed to be, some people were probably doing pranks, which that's what it was normally known for. You would go and, do pranks on other people and have a lot of fun. But it was also known for, it was a lot of lewdness going on, in other words. There was a lot of immoral acts, fornication happening. So that's what it was also known for. The other thing was
Bacchus.
The other thing was a thing called singing Christmas carols, which it was known for back then. Like Christmas caroling was a thing, but it was only a thing on mainly 3 occasions. It was Christmas caroling was normally done during rioting, chambering, and wantedness. Why I'm saying chambering at that time was another word for sex, which is really weird because they would be singing Christmas carols while
doing it.
So hold on, let's build this picture here. They're mumming, so they're dressed up as a random man in somebody else's house, fornicating while singing jingle bells. Like that's what we're saying happened. I mean, honestly, if I was anybody in the 1600s, I'd also be like, we gotta cut this out.
It wouldn't be jingle bells, dude. It'd be like,
this is one of the reasons why a lot of these reverends and a lot of these priests and these high up figures, they hated this holiday because it became an immoral holiday. It was rioting for a reason. Like it was a holiday where it was a bunch of recklessness and rebellion. And this is one of the reasons why I'm tying it slightly toward the spirit of Christmas, also towards the spirit of Nimrod, a man that rebelled. Now the third one,
nice tie back.
Yeah, right. The third one is called misrule. And misrule was a celebration that they did during this time, where basically it was a temporary social inversion where masters and servants switch roles. And it's still a thing that does happen nowadays. Even in the Navy, they do a thing. They have a day during Christmas time where what?
In the Navy?
In the Navy. They have a day where they
careful.
switch
We have to
roles.
fact check this. We have troops out
Look
there,
it up.
man.
Feel free to look it up while I'm talking.
I know there's undercover boss.
In 1637, so this is an earlier time in Lincolnshire. This is one of the first recorded situations of
Shut up.
this is one of the first recorded situation of this misrule holiday, where the crowd they chose a lord of misrule. So basically, think of it like king of prom or whatever. They would all choose a guy and they would make him the lord of misrule. And then this guy was given a fake wife. And then both of them would act as if they were married. And you're talking, the problem here was that they weren't pagans. These were Christian people. But during this holiday, they were given almost
A
authority.
free pass, a hallway pass.
Think of it like The Purge, but without murder. Like they were given a free pass to do whatever they wanted. It's almost like holiday. It's almost like Halloween. They would all dress up in disguises. They would all dress up as different people and do these terrible, heinous acts.
It sounds a lot like Halloween.
Well,
It sounds a
here's
lot
the
like
thing.
Halloween. So Halloween,
actually
it sounds like it
what
just
you're-
was shifted.
What you're describing is some leftover remnants of the Roman era in the celebration of Saturnalia that we mentioned earlier. Famously, during the celebration of Saturnalia, the slaves were encouraged to dress up as the owners, and they were to role reverse. Essentially, they would switch places, and they would drink, and they would make merry, and they would like talk back, and it would be like kind of like lighthearted fun. That's where some people assume that the origins of Christmas is based in pagan holidays like that, like Yule time, which was a Germanic pagan celebration. But the problem is that, actually, I take that back. There is no problem because I mentioned it myself with that one playwriter's, what's his name? He wrote specifically about, like in 1616, Ben Jonson, in his play, referring to Old Christmas or Old Gregory Christmas, his children were, mumming and misrule, carol, mince pie, and so they were following him. So that I can't say that tradition didn't take place early on if it was referenced even in like popular culture at the time.
It was probably a thing that happened during the youth. What?
Can I get this straight? You're all saying that basically Christmas time for like what? Was that 2,000 years?
Like 500 years.
500 years? What do you mean 500? 1600s, 1700s?
Yeah.
Man, it was a time to cheat on your wife. Like that's all it was.
no,
like,
no,
hey,
No,
I'm gonna
yes,
cheat.
Andrew. Yes, that's kind of what it was. It was given a free pass to do whatever you wanted.
I think that was probably something that was celebrated by people who weren't Christian. Just like today, not everybody is Christian and going
But
to church on Sunday.
they
on
were
Christmas,
Christian.
but
That's the
they
problem.
pass out
That's what
presents.
this reverend was trying to say, and he was trying to take
Yeah,
it
there's a lot
out
of people that
because
say. There's a lot of people that say they're Christian but aren't Christian that do a bunch of non-Christian
yes,
things.
but the majority of the people were Christian, and if you have a lot of people doing these things, it becomes. I mean, almost
did
all
not
of America
find
at
any
that
of
time
this.
was Christian.
I did not find any of this during my research, so that's interesting. I wasn't prepared for that.
You weren't
then-
invited to the party.
Now we know.
Apparently not.
Do you know when Ebenezer Scrooge was born? He was born in 1786. So now I am starting to realize, and I actually slightly agree. At that time, if I lived in the time of Ebenezer Scrooge, I can see why he was the way he was about Christmas. Always saying "bah humbug," like Christmas. It was not a good holiday. It was. I mean, he was an old man at that time. He probably remembers the mumming. He remembers all these things, and he knows.
That's so you can't
Dude, I did
read the
not
book
see-
or watch any of the movies.
I did
That's
not
so
see-
not what happens. Like you
I
can't
didn't
do
see
that.
defending Scrooge.
I'm taking
by,
cause and effect. If
You
we know
can't.
that,
not
if
with
we know
not
that,
with fictional stories written by popular American or not American authors, but like the most you cannot do that. That's not the motivations for Scrooge in A Christmas Carol was based upon the tragedy that he continually experienced during the Christmas time. That's why he was taking the Christmas past, Christmas present, Christmas future.
Yeah, by
but
the
he was
spirits
supposed
of
to remember.
Christmas. That story is nothing about Jesus.
He wanted. But
I'd say
story is
the
all
Grinch.
about the spirit of Christmas. The spirit
all
of
about
mumming,
family
the
and
spirit-
love and not
that's-
being greedy.
That's how they get you. Like that's how they get
I'd say
you.
the Grinch is closer to
They
what you're
weren't
saying.
going to his nephew's house to have an orgy, Josh. They were going over there to have like a dinner and play game. Like he went there. It wasn't like come and celebrate. Oh no, bah humbug. I'm a pious man who rips people
You
off.
think the Grinch is more based on that?
I don't know.
Because he hated. They were like all those little guys in the city.
They hate.
They all look
The
androgynous. You couldn't tell what was male and what was female over there. They were
You know
all
what's
androgynous.
Why they had
in the live action one.
I never seen.
Yes, you have. Don't
the
lie.
Grinch
haven't
coming
really
to steal
seen
Grinch coming to steal Christmas. I mean, that's an interesting story. Like,
Coming to steal your wife. That's what he's coming to steal.
I honestly didn't expect that to go this way, but I
he
don't know
came
why I
in to
expected
steal all
it
your
to.
gifts and presents and all that. But I wanted to say about the Egyptians before we go.
Oh, the
forward.
Egyptians. Okay.
Well, yes, because we were still talking about Christmas trees, and I wanted to talk about the Egyptians and how
Let's end
they.
Christmas trees.
What? Yeah, I mean,
Continue with the Egyptians.
well, basically, so the Egyptians, the way that they would decorate, so they would decorate conifers and make wreaths as well as garlands to celebrate Ra, the sun god. They believed that winter came every year because Ra was sick. And on the 21st or 22nd of December, during the solstice, the population used to celebrate Ra by filling their home with beautiful evergreen trees. This event, I don't know. Ra was worshipped all over Egypt and often depicted as a hawk-headed man carrying a solar disk. And I think that them worshiping him was,
Keep tying it together. But it's so the threads are strong.
What threads?
There's a reef, the circular. Okay, continue.
Wrong. He was sick.
Egypt
during
has
December.
nothing to do with Christmas,
Yes,
but
it
okay.
does. He was sick in
yeah?
December.
and Israelites, they one of them with Moses have after Moses. I mean, during Moses. So a lot of the things with Christmas trees and to kind of defend the Christmas tree and why it's not evil at the same time, because a lot of Christians
I've already
say like,
stated
oh,
my reasons.
well, yes, but there's a lot of Christians that say like, oh, we need to get Christmas trees out of our house because we are worshiping, and they bring up the whole Jeremiah thing, what he's saying, because we are In other words, we are worshiping the devil, doing it and everything. But at the same time, there's another situation where it's really a weird thing that happens. I mean, we've talked about before on the podcast where Moses with the serpents, where people are getting bitten, and then he creates this giant serpent, and he tells everybody, look at the serpent, you will be healed. Now, that is a really weird thing to ask of someone, right? Like that is just a really odd thing to have done, to have somebody say, make a snake, look at the snake, and you'll be healed. Right?
There's that whole thing that the snakes were biting them. So look upon the things that.
Yeah, that we talked about it.
Yeah.
If you want to go back and plug in, listen to our episode on numbers.
Which
I
is
forgot which
probably
part.
episode.
I think it was probably
20.
part 2.
But also, like, look upon the cross, and you will be.
Yeah, look upon. It's supposed to then represent Jesus lifted up on a cross, who became sin, who knew no sin.
But this is
so he may
also
become the righteousness of
Saint
God.
Boniface when
But
he was
Christmas
talking
tree,
about
yeah.
when he was talking about the Christmas tree. He was also saying basically like, look upon the Christmas tree and remember, like in other words, remember the
Resurrection and eternal
no,
life.
not the
of Christ.
resurrection. Well, yes, but also like the birth of Christ. Like this is like remember Christ.
It was more of not the birth, but it was like the symbolism of the everlasting life, the fact that it never dies. That's what he used in his evangelism.
And it was the when that happened, it was the day. It was supposedly the day that they believed that Christ was born, which on December 25th.
No.
All right, so who
The Saint
wins?
Boniface story. It's literally
Trees
in
are
the
good
story.
or bad?
He tells them that this is the day.
Jesus was born.
Yes. If you read the story, that's what he tells them. This is the day
Well, what
that
was the Egypt part though?
I don't know. I lost it in the.
You didn't let him finish. The raw sick on December.
basically he gets sick every winter, and during this time they celebrate Ra by filling. So it's like almost like, oh, he's sick, and let's try to cheer him up by
Or they give him gifts.
like celebrating the conifers. Basically, conifers are like the tombs.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You know, like decorating it all and celebrating and trying to cheer him up. Maybe by doing that, he'll feel better.
That's crazy. Like that's a lot of different cultures have like the same similar kind of things
Yes.
across different regions. At the end of the day, we all really enjoy making our homes festive in December for
We
some
do.
reason.
Well, it's the end of a year. It's a different season. It brings a different energy, a different vibe. How long has this been crooked this way? This is gonna bother me.
I like this because it shows that this is Christmas. What do we believe? We believe that Jesus was born to save us from
To save us.
From hell. And all this stuff is cool. My favorite part was when you said that Jesus was already a teenager when the three wise men visited him.
I didn't say he was a teenager. I
No, he was not a
probably
teenager.
like 2 years old.
He had like a peach fuzz already.
Here's some gold, man.
It's like,
What are you guys doing
righteous. He was saying righteous a lot.
That's right.
That's totally righteous, dude.
That's
totally righteous,
That's horrible.
dude.
That's a horrible joke, and it works really well.
Don't you hate that? That's all off the dome.
Wow, that was pretty good.
But yeah, so who wins the tree thing? Bad? Good?
I don't think he even argued in antithesis. I think he just
Keep that. What was my thing? Keep that guy.
keep that king,
Keep
or
that
lose
king
that
or
dude.
lose that dude. Trees.
Trees.
Yeah, I mean,
Keep that king.
Josh, you're supposed to. Are you for or against Christmas trees?
keep that king.
Keep that king. Keep that king.
You
All right.
guys know where I
All
stand
right.
on
Christmas
trees.
lights. Keep that king or lose that
Well, the
dude.
lights are more Christian than anything.
Okay. Keep that king. Keep that king. Okay. Jesus. The whole aspect of him. Keep that king or lose that dude.
Thank you, Jason.
Keep him. Santa though. The whole
Santa, you can kick or leave. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. There's literally nothing Christian about Santa, other than maybe Saint Nicholas's acts. But even then, you're venerating somebody as opposed to venerating Christ by just idolizing this figure.
Keep that king.
He's a marketing employee of COCA-COLA and the modern capitalist government that we have. Or
all right, last thing.
And
then if you switch the letters around in Santa, it's Satan.
Oh yeah.
Last thing, giving gifts. Keep that king or lose that dude.
I don't think there's anything wrong with giving children gifts.
The wise men gave Jesus gifts.
Jesus got gifts, and it was a couple years later, but he got gifts.
So it was just the children get
when
gifts?
I buy you a Christmas present, you're going to get it a couple years later.
2 years down the road. I love it.
So, I don't know where I fit on gifts. It would be nice if we didn't do it because, I'd rather, not have to go through the Christmas shopping people. Because that place, dude, those malls are crazy sometimes.
Actually, no,
I really enjoy Christmas.
They're not.
I enjoy Christmas because
it's not that crazy anymore. Because Amazon, they kind of ruined everything.
Yeah, I was out for Black Friday. I don't know why we're going so off topic.
We're going to end it here pretty soon. We're pretty much done.
What are we doing for the greater meaning? Because this isn't a regular episode.
We're going to say what we love most about Christmas.
The greater meaning to you of
no,
Christmas.
You
what's
can't.
The greater meaning to you of Christmas?
How about what's your great? Yeah, what's the greatest?
Your greatest Christmas movie.
Oh, and add at the end of it your favorite Christmas movie.
Yeah, at the end of your greatest. We probably should have talked that beforehand, but it's good that we worked it out now.
Also
and
Romanian meat jello. I don't know if you guys ever eat that stuff. What it's called, ratachir or whatever. It's Romanian meat jello.
This man just said
You've seen it before? Oh man,
my grandfather
loves. It's good.
It's gnarly looking.
It's awful. It's just imagine boiling some meat and letting that congeal in the fridge, and it's just yum.
Then you eat it.
It's like the
with
stuff
a spoon.
It's the stuff
that's also freezing cold for some reason.
Sometimes they throw olives in the juice that.
But you know what the worst part is? The worst part is when you're eating the Jello and it's jello-y, and then you chew on a bone and it's just this hard part. That's the worst part about that.
It's not for me because I never eat it, so I don't ever have to experience.
You got to go see your dentist.
It actually tastes great, and you can actually get it sliced into like sandwich type of slices, and then you can put it on your sandwich, and it's actually
you know what that's called? That's called head cheese. I'm serious. If you go to a Polish deli and you order head, the thing that's crazy
but it's not
is
cheese.
I know it's not. That's meat jello sliced into thin thing. And last when I was working in the city of Charlotte, there's a Polish deli, and I didn't know what head cheese was. I just saw it there said, so I was like, let me get a pound of head cheese. And then I brought it, and I was like, oh my God, this is meat jello. I'm gonna have to eat a pound of meat jello. This is it was the worst experience ever because it was
a pound
of meat jello.
How much was it?
$6.
Wasn't that much? I mean, it was just on sale, and I was like, "Oh, I'll have some." The lady looked at me, and she's like, "Are you sure?"
Buying it.
You should. Nobody ever eats this quantity of this thing. Hardly anybody likes.
You don't want this much. I'm telling you. I'm like, no, I want a pound.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it really is.
All right.
So my favorite thing about Christmas, or the greater meaning behind Christmas, I would say the greater meaning behind this episode of what we covered, not just about Christmas, is upon discovery about the history of the Christmas trees, especially with St. Boniface and Martin Luther and its use in paradise plays, I have found a great encouragement that something like the evergreen tree or the fir tree was used by Christians to further the gospel and to evangelize the true message that the whole world needs to hear. I think that we had a comment here from Evelina that said, I believe God created pine trees for such a time as Christmas. And I believe that to be true. And I believe that God created all of creation to sing and to represent and to give glory to God. And when we can use that to glorify God, to spread the gospel, spread his good news throughout the world, I think that's extremely beautiful. And I don't ever see a time in my life where I won't have a Christmas tree around Christmas. And I'll use that Christmas tree to remember and to explain to others, look, there's a tree that is green all the time. Did you know that our souls can be green all the time, that we can have everlasting life if we believe in Jesus, if we believe in the sacrifice and the resurrection of our Lord and Savior? Did you know he came down? And you can start the story. It's beautiful. So that is my favorite part of Christmas. I used to legitimately, growing up, the first night the Christmas tree was put up, when the lights would go on, I would always spend that first night in the living room in the light of a Christmas tree. It just brought me so much joy as a kid. So I just...
Christmas movie?
Favorite Christmas movie is A Christmas Carol.
Okay.
I'm a huge, that story.
Is that the one with the leg?
Which one?
So there's so many iterations of the...
No, you mean A Christmas Carol.
A Christmas Carol. What did I say?
A Christmas Story. That's
No. A Christmas Carol. I'm sorry. I've never even... Fun fact, I've never seen A Christmas Story.
Yeah,
never saw
bad.
the
It's a good
appeal.
movie.
Never saw
It's
the appeal.
older. It's like the old original.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't feel... But A Christmas Carol, and honestly, you could take and pick any version. I watched the Mickey Mouse version with my daughter last night. Still love it. Any version of that story... You had the Jim Carrey animation one. You have the old ones that are like live action.
Ghost of Girlfriend's Past. That's
Ghost
my
of
favorite
Girlfriend's
one.
Past was phenomenal. And then you had the one last year, or was it 2 years ago, on Netflix that had that musical number with what's his name? The guy that played you know what I'm talking about? It was like famous because the guy sang it. He's like, why did he kill this musical number so good?
I don't know. I don't like that
Take
story.
your hand,
No,
fly free. No more.
I don't know it.
Okay, I'm just keeping looking for validation.
Josh?
Anyway, that's me. Josh, your turn.
So, I guess my greater meaning, because Andrew, you did such a good job. Yeah, you did a great job, actually, at yours. You
Thank you.
took all the valid good points.
I just used a Christmas tree.
Yeah. So mine would be basically with the original story of Christmas and a day where we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. It's interesting that we know that Christ and God are, God is the God above all gods, and Jesus Christ, I mean, they rule over everything. They're the creators of the earth and everything. And we know that each one of these stories, like as we went through and all the different pagan holidays and everything, even the Egyptians, they all had, during December, they all had their own celebrations that had nothing to do with Jesus Christ. They had nothing to do with the birth of Christ and why we call it Christmas now. But through it all, and maybe it was God's idea to use COCA-COLA to push forward and to make this holiday, to make this December a time where originally it was basically a holiday of just lewdness and corruption, and terrible things would happen. And I mean, it wasn't just done by pagans; it was done by even Christians. But it's interesting. We talk about this COCA-COLA and the ad campaign and Santa Claus and all this, but it pushed it forward so much that now one of the only times where people who don't go to church, one of the times that they do go to church is Christmas. And that's one of the only times probably that they have the chance to hear the story of Christ and to encounter other believers and to probably to sow seeds into them. You know what I mean? It's just, either way, at the end of the day, with all the different stories, Jesus Christ came on top overall.
Christmas movie?
Christmas movie. My choice would definitely be Home Alone. It's a classic, and
Which one?
I mean, obviously the first one and the second one.
You like the first one more than the second? The second one's iconic.
The second one is the best one. I'm gonna go ahead and
Yeah,
say that right now.
with New York and all that. Yes,
Yeah,
it
that is
definitely
the
is.
pizza and the
But
limo.
the first one
Donald
is
Trump
what
saying,
made it.
right over there.
The first one is what made it. And why I like these movies so much, especially as an adult. As a kid, I thought they were great because, the kid was, beating up the bad guys and he was home alone, and you always envision yourself as this kid. And then you basically prepare for a home invasion the way that this kid prepared for a home invasion. But now as an adult, I find it hilarious because, first off, the bad guys are complete idiots, as dumb as they can be. Second is the parents. How do you keep forgetting your kid? Like, I get that you have a big family, but you keep leaving. It's the second time you forget your kid.
Yep. They should lose
just
them.
just like how sometimes we forget Jesus Christ.
Oh gosh,
CPS.
here we go.
Call CPS.
All right, Nathan.
All right, my meaning of Christmas. We all hear the things like, oh, Jesus is the reason for the season. I'm sure all of our listeners are, most of you are going to be going to church for the holidays and are going to be part of the festivities,
Maybe for the first time.
Christmas time. For a lot of Christians, it's so busy, especially if you're involved. You go to practice and you prepare for this great, this great basic service that's going to have like a chorus singing, and it's going to have the kids play, and it's going to have like that special certain, Christmas message. And it's such a big to do, right? That we love, like, Christians love Christmas. I love Christmas time. The things that I learned here today are really interesting, that, some of the origins of some of the different traditions we do. But at the end of the day, we all know, and I'm going to be kind of cheesy with it, Jesus came on earth. And I've heard it said before that you shouldn't celebrate Jesus's birth just on Christmas. You should celebrate the fact that Jesus came every single day. And actually, your life should be a celebration of what Jesus did for you. But another important aspect of it, if we're going on born, another very fundamental aspect besides that Jesus died for your sins, you also have to be born again into the, by the Holy Spirit. That is the two most important things in Christianity, right? It's Jesus raising from the dead and dying for your sins, you repenting of that, accepting him into your heart, and then being born again, becoming a true believer, a person in the kingdom of heaven. These are the cornerstones of our faith. Jesus coming to earth, he came to earth, but like, as Christians, it's like, and I'm not saying Christmas is not a big deal, but those are the big deals, right? Those are the big ones for us. Baby Jesus, he was a baby. It just shows the humanity that God came in human form. But what Jesus's mission was should never be forgotten. And what your mission is as a Christian also should never be glossed over. We are called to be a light in this world. So to show the love that God had for humanity during the holiday season, extend, some service maybe to those unfortunate. Say a kind word to those that, maybe could probably hear it. Your enemies, it's a perfect time. To anybody that you have a hard time getting along with, to tell them, you know what? Jesus died for you just like he died for me. And I pray that you go to church. Invite people to church during this time period so they could see, but be a true Christian. Use this as an opportunity to really witness, because it's the easiest time of year for those that don't really know the word of God maybe, and don't really have that, powerful words to speak. But it's the easiest time of year to invite somebody, come to church with me. Come see that you're welcome, because Jesus welcomes you. Jesus is calling you. Jesus wants you to be a part of his kingdom. Jesus wants you to be saved. Please come with me. Come experience as we celebrate the birth of our Lord, and also as we talk about what he did for us as a humanity. So that's my kind of greater meaning with that. And then my favorite Christmas movie, man, you guys said some big ones. Christmas Carol, I'm not that big of a fan of, but I do appreciate that story. Mm-hmm. The Home Alone movies, that's like probably top two tier memories for me and my father, because my dad, he never laughs, but he would laugh at Home Alone movies for some reason. One of my favorite Christmas movies, this is going to be a little out there, but it's Die Hard. It's just
be careful.
it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, that's the debate. It is Die Hard.
It's set during Christmas. That's why I watch it every Christmas. I watch it every year around the holidays.
Don't you watch it with my dad? Like
I watched it with your dad literally the other day, and we both were like, "This was good." I was like, "Yeah, we've seen it a million times, but it's always good." And besides Die Hard, I mean, Christmas Vacation, Chevy Chase, can't go wrong there.
Oh, that's a good one too.
You got the Home Alones, of course.
National Lampoon?
Yeah.
Die Hard.
That's the one. That's the one. Christmas Vacation. It's National Lampoon.
That
Christmas
is a
Vacation.
phenomenal choice. I think my top. You mentioned Jingle All the Way. That might be one.
Jingle
of my
All the Way.
favorites,
Yeah. Elf is a new one and goodie. Awesome.
You can't forget Santa Claus.
The Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
Santa Claus.
Right.
Man,
Those are classics.
I actually enjoyed the Guardians of the Galaxy one.
That one's also really good. The
Never
holiday
seen it.
special. I saw it.
that.
If you guys want to see something
they
terrible, watch
kidnap-
the Star Wars holiday special.
No.
Hey, you guys remember that movie? What was it? Klaus. That was released. That was like
On
probably-
Netflix, the
that-
animated one?
yes.
That's probably one
I
of the
liked
best newer ones. So not like an old classic.
Like animated?
That's definitely like a modern day classic. It came out a few years ago, and ever since it's come out, I watch it every year. It's probably one of the best ones ever made. That's like a newer, like not from the 90s or early 2000s.
What
we
about
haven't even talked about any.
Spirit?
We haven't even talked about any of the animatronic like old school ones.
Yeah, that whole collection,
Dude,
right?
those
I
were
have
my
that.
top-
I own them.
I
all
watched
of them.
need them
Frosty
here.
the Snowman with
Frosty.
with
He's
the kids,
Mr.
and that was-
Ice Blister. He's Mr. Cold or Snow. I don't know, but it's great.
100
was an
below.
Oh, dude, those things had such a creepy but enduring, enchanted, just allure to them. They were fantastic.
That was another one. Hey, the story of Frosty the Snowman, right? Was a thing that wasn't alive until they
Put the hat on him.
put the hat on him, and they
And
really
what is
wanted
the
him to
helmet
be-
of? What does the helmet represent in the armor of God?
It's not the hat of Frosty.
Salvation.
I
You guys don't know the Ephesians?
Oh
Yeah,
but
we have a
I was trying to
song.
think- you confused me with how's it
What's
with
your
Frosty.
song, Josh?
Well, I don't know
Sing
it
it.
by heart. Joy knows it.
Frosty the Snowman.
No,
No,
not that song.
I don't know the lyrics, but
Joy has my wife has a song with the belt of truth.
the song of that Ephesians stuff.
The
Yeah.
armor of God.
The Armor
Yeah.
of God song.
All right, guys, look out for that merch. This is our first live broadcast. Thank you very much for staying with us, all 6 of you that have remained thus far.
Hey,
I believe that me, Andrew,
Nathan.
and Josh are 3 of them.
Nathan, have you talked? Did you talk to your buddy about Winterfest?
Not yet. Going this Sunday. I mentioned it to his cousins or whatever, but I got to talk to. That guy's kind of tough to get a hold of.
For anybody who does
Anyway,
go to
so-
Winterfest and you have a voice, our goal is to try to be there.
Try to be there with a booth, giving out some merch and signing people up.
Little do
Yes.
the people that actually organize it know yet. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing that you're announcing it here live
No,
for the first time.
this is just a thing that we're trying to be at.
So if we're not there, we failed.
If we're
Such a
not there,
dumb thing. Usually,
we've
go,
let
hey,
you
big
down."
things coming. Nathan talked to a guy.
Well, I couldn't do it last Sunday because it was Andrew's kid's dedication.
Yeah.
Oh, and how was that?
Fantastic. It was beautiful. The
I wasn't
blessing of the Lord
invited.
was there. And it's very important that, Jesus was born and people came and acknowledged and blessed. My baby it wasn't blessed like Jesus. I feel like that's a little bit. I mean that it's important that you call upon the Lord's blessing upon your children. I don't think that children should be baptized. We'll get into that later because they can't say, I accept Jesus Christ into my heart. It's kind of important. But blessing of the God over a newborn baby to grow and to, bless and to, sanctify and
2 turtle doves.
Yeah. Anyway. Thank you. This has been our first ever Christmas special. Thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for...
And this has been our first ever live. So thank you for staying this whole time for all
7 of you.
all handful of you that have
We
stayed.
gained a viewer at the end.
someone just came in. It's like, oh,
Some guy from Kenya.
Hey,
All right,
but
guys.
if you guys can, and if you've watched this whole time, do us a solid and hit that subscribe. And
hit subscribe.
Subscribe, like, share with your friends. Follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You name it. We're going to try to be there. Give us a good review. Drop a comment. Tell us what your favorite Christmas movie is at the bottom so we can judge you.
Awesome. Bye, guys. Merry Christmas.
Drink Coca-Cola.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
see ya.
Stopped it. Yeah.